Here we are again. We are in, not on a Monday, not on a Wednesday. We are here on a Friday on Swamp Justice Radio with Crime and Cask and Super Woke News coming to you live. No, not live, but we're coming to you from 97.7 WVFF Veterans for Freedom Radio. If you're in Cottageville, South Carolina, tune in to the Truth in Broadcasting Corporation. It even goes into Walterboro. I've heard it into Walterboro and Yemassee, Somerville.
That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. I am stunned, shocked, and have you, by the way, ever been recognized for any content you've ever made on that fabulous radio station? I'm just asking.
Well,
I'm asking for a friend.
I haven't been up to Cottageville, walking around and, hey everybody, how you doing? Crime and Cask coming at you. So we have this been a wild Thursday and into Friday in South Carolina, in media, in civil lawsuit case, which I'm just like, wow. But what we're talking about is nobody's favorite podcaster, Mandy Matney, who loves to defame and slander me. She says she's ready to go to jail. Do you believe that?
No, that's a really dumb thing to say. It's almost like you're challenging the court to throw you in jail. Why doesn't she just testify? What is she hiding? What is she afraid of in her deposition?
Well, we're going to get into that, but she says she's ready to go to jail rather than be deposed in this Beach v. Parker 392 case.
Right.
Which
but she'd have to be hiding, Jim. She'd have to be hiding some pretty dark secrets to say she'd rather go to jail than simply go and tell the truth, testify. Cup of Justice is supposed to be about. I think the alternative name was True Light. Why can't she just go and under oath tell the truth? That is outrageous to me that she can't.
That's a good question.
But I think we know the answer.
As I'm drinking from a cup here, isn't there saying everybody drinks from the same cup of justice?
I don't know, because I can't stand those people, so I don't listen to it. If that in fact is their saying, good for them, bully for them.
Well, so for everybody at home and on YouTube and across the world, Beach v. Parker 392 civil case.
It's a civil outrage case.
We've all
Jim.
heard of Mallory Beach and the boat crash heard around the world, Paul Murdaugh and Connor Cook and Anthony Cook. And this is completely different than the Beach case.
The civil outrage case.
This is a civil outrage case. Explain it to us.
So I'm holding it, and I'm going to read from it just one paragraph, but this is the original complaint filed December 3rd of 2021. And on page 5, chapter 12, it says right here that what they're suing for is that on information and belief, these photographs of Mallory Beach's dead body have never been made public by any law enforcement agency nor anyone else. That is what Mark Tinsley swears to on December 3rd of 2021. We now know from Liz Farrell's deposition that that is not true. That Mark Tinsley had emailed Liz Farrell the mediation reel that had the pictures of Mallory Beach's dead body long before the date that Mark Tinsley filed this. So this is what we call a fraud on the court. This to me is a reason why I otherwise think Mark Tinsley is, he could be a great attorney, but you can't do stuff like this, Mr. Tinsley. And I think what he intended to do was actually what he's saying, what he's claiming Greg Parker was doing. He thought he could bully Mr. Parker into settling this case to weaken Mr. Parker's resolve to defend in the 111 case, the other case about the boat crash. So this is an attempt to commit a fraud on the court and to bully Mr. Parker. And Mr. Parker has stood up to it. Now tell us about, so Liz Farrell got deposed.
Right.
back in November and said a
November
lot of explosive
2025.
things.
Yeah.
Said a lot, yes, of 2025. Said a lot of things that really just doom Mr. Tinsley's case. She sunk it, in my estimation. We talk about that in a minute. But yesterday, so anyway, so Mandy was going to be deposed too. And so for whatever Liz Farrell had testified to, Greg Parker's attorneys now have a better understanding of this conspiracy and how much this is a total fraud. And the nail in the coffin of that fraud would be accurate testimony from Mandy Matney about this collusion between Tinsley and frankly, Will Folks, but Tinsley, Liz Farrell, Mandy Matney, and this knowledge that that Mark Tinsley had already released these photos. When he says here, page 5, paragraph 12, upon information and belief, these photographs have never been made public by any law enforcement agency nor anyone else. Mark Tinsley himself had made these public. Disseminating them to this journalist, Liz Farrell, is ipso facto making them public. So when he signs, Tinsley signs this complaint, he files this lawsuit, signs his little name, there's his little name signed to this complaint. It's a fraud on the court. It's a lie. So he has this elaborate, he has contrived this fantasy how Parker's has done the very thing that he's done. So what happened yesterday, though, is
And Liz
that
Farrell's deposition really goes into
in detail
the weeds, as they say.
about him sending her the link
Down
to
here in the low
email.
country, get into the weeds with the guidance. Yeah.
So what happened? So Jim, so yesterday the court had before it 4 motions. One was Mandy Matney's motion to quash the subpoena requesting her to appear to be deposed.
Mhm.
And that got denied. And then another was for private investigators. There are 2 people here, these investigators, Max Furtati and Henry Rosado. They're defendants in this case. And they do business as private investigation services. They had filed a motion to amend the complaint and to amend their answers and to file a complaint. That got denied. Greg Roman, who is at the heart of this, a lot of the narrative about the evil Alec Murdaugh empire first appeared in print from Greg Roman. So I was always surprised that he wasn't actually named as a defendant in this case because Vicky Ward had an association with him. And if she's in this case, he should have been too. I always thought it was odd he wasn't named. I also thought it was odd that Wes Donahue wasn't named because he's the knife fighter they're talking about in this litigation. But anyway, so he files a motion to quash a subpoena. They wanted to depose him, and that got denied. But what got granted was a motion, and I didn't actually, so I said to you, who are these people? It's a guy named Mr. Clausen and this other woman. Who was this woman? Because they filed a motion to say, which was granted, we don't want, we're not going to produce, what you're asking us to produce is privileged attorney work product information, and we're not going to produce it because it's privileged. And the court granted that motion, but requested that they produce a privileged log so that they can say this specifically is what we're asserting is privileged and this is not. So anyway, so this had to do with this guy Clausen and a woman that I didn't recognize her at all in this. Her last name was Jones. And I thought, well, what the hell is she? How is she involved? Turns out that Parker's had subpoenaed her. She had worked for Mr. Clausen. She does not work for him now. Parker's became aware that she had information related to, remember those mock juries? She
Yep.
had information related to that. They wanted to depose her to figure out, because it's also, Liz Farrell said in her deposition that not only did Mark Tinsley release the information to her without requesting any non-disclosure agreement of any kind, that he also released it to those 2 mock juries that he did, that those jurors had access to this. And that might be how I got some of those pictures. I think it was one of those mock jurors emailed them to me. And I've mentioned that before, that I have the pictures that they're fighting about. They're the pictures taken by the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office when they recovered Mallory Beach's body. And I'm not going to show them. I've never showed them, but they're not gruesome. They're not even really in focus. And they're not, we've seen much more gruesome things. So all of this outrage, it's not outrage. The whole thing is Mark Tinsley suing Mr. Parker for something he did, and it's an exaggeration to call it outrage anyway. But so Parker's wanted to sue this Miss Jones, and then she called her former employer, this attorney Clausen, and said, hey, they want to depose me. And he objected. In fact, he blew up. In fact, he said, she's only a paralegal. She's not well enough trained to even understand legal ethics in a sophisticated way. She absolutely can't be deposed because all she is a paralegal. And I, the mighty Mr. Clausen, I will know how to not answer these questions that Mr. Parker wants answered. And so the court did grant that. He said, okay, you're asserting this is privileged information, but I think that the court also asked that he has to produce a privilege log, which means he has to identify what specifically is privileged. And then the court rules on each and every one of those claims related to whatever this information is. So this is not a win really for anyone. I think it was an excellent idea for Parker's attorneys to subpoena this woman. And I think that they're not going to give up on trying to get this information because it is relevant that we know Tinsley produced these mock juries and released the very information that he claims on page 12, on page 5, paragraph 12, he claims were never released by anybody. Which, by the way, Mr. Tinsley, I want to say again, appears to be a bold-faced lie. And when you sign your name to it, you're signing it under oath. That's perjury, Mr. Tinsley. So that's kind of where we are. But why Mandy Matney would say, I'd rather go to jail and simply tell the truth? Who says that? Wouldn't you rather tell the truth than go to jail? I'm just asking. I'm asking.
Most people would, but here's exactly what she said. Hold on, let's get to it. Here is the quote. She's in Colorado, by the way. Says, let me make this something very clear. I would rather go to jail and be held in contempt than spend a minute of my time with Mark Moore. He's the attorney for Parker's. Deb Barbier, and any other skeezy attorney hired by Greg Parker to attack Mallory Beach's family.
That's not what he's doing. He's defending himself. They sued him.
Yeah. Yikes. And anyone who has ever defended them. Guess she's referring to Tinsley there. They used Liz Farrell's deposition to ask her about her ex-husband and other tormenting questions about our company. So no, I'd rather go to jail. LFG, I'm assuming that stands for let's fucking go.
She is really
delusional. With a heart and with a son.
Wow.
Says, update on the gas station billionaire targeting my company and those I love. So she loves Mark Tinsley. I'm not sure. The judge denied my motion to quash my subpoena for deposition. Can y'all watch this video on repeat to help me pay lawyer fees to fight this bullshit ? Now, wow. I don't know where she got the y'all from because she's from Kansas.
My mom was from Kansas, and I don't believe in her entire life she ever said y'all. But anyway,
I've been to Kansas. They don't say y'all. Anyway, so she's saying she'd rather go to jail. Then do
she's
what.
So delusional about what litigation is about. She lives in this fantasy land of this Mandy Matney world that's just not here on planet Earth.
Even presidents of the United States
have been deposed.
Yeah, they've been deposed. They can't get out of it.
And she's not the epicenter of life on this planet. She's not a paragon of virtue or even intelligence, but she does have material information, which the judge, when the judge denied her motion,
you mean when you look at this picture, you don't think that she's the center of the world?
I'm pretty sure she's not. short answer, she is not the center of the, but she's also an idiot about how litigation works. You don't have the luxury of saying, I decide I'm not going to abide by a lawful subpoena. And she's a material witness in all of this. I think she's terrified that there is no way, if she's under oath, there's no way she can avoid unraveling more about this collusion between Mark Tinsley, Liz Farrell, Mandy Matney. And I also think that she's aware that Parker's knows about a lot of these communications between Tinsley and Will Folks and Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell related to this subject matter, so that they will hold her in contempt when if she tries to lie under oath. The solution here, Mandy,
the last
is to
count I saw,
testify.
the last count I've heard of those are text messages between her and Liz and Tinsley and all those people are in the hundreds, literally the hundreds. So yeah, she doesn't know what to lie about or what to tell the truth about or anything. I talked to one person today that believes that when push comes to shove, she just may not come back to the state of South Carolina, sell her house and move.
That won't work. Don't do that.
This person was pretty close to them. So
no, what I'm saying is that's a stupid strategy, Mandy. Stop doing that. Get deposed, tell the truth, and be accountable for what you did. There we go. There's the simple solution and the simple way out.
You read the denial of her motion. The court did acknowledge the existence of qualified privilege for journalists, which is law in the state of South Carolina, but found that Matney sought this blanket protection rather than narrowly tailored relief. And that's what he denied. So I'm sure she's going to probably
appeal from this order, this denial. I think the trial judge has full discretion about this. I don't know that that's even appealable, but she can give it a shot. It's her money. The simple solution, Mandy, is tell the truth. What are you hiding? She's a material witness. You see, Parker's is very aware she's a material witness that goes to the heart of this lie that Mark Tinsley told. Parker's didn't sue Renee Beach. Renee Beach sued Parker's. Parker's isn't the ones that created the lie that Mark Tinsley is telling, that nobody, nor did anyone else. It's a lie. And there's evidence that in addition to disseminating that information to Liz Farrell, he disseminated it directly to Mandy Matney, which makes, you only have to prove one lie. So Parker's has enough right now, I think, to get Mark Tinsley disbarred. But Liz I think there's more now that Parker's is aware of to ask Liz. I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to maybe redepose Liz Farrell. But
funny you say about hiding something, because Matney and crew talk a lot about people that hide stuff. Defendants who stayed silent, according to them, were hiding. Lawyers who pushed back were corrupt. And judges who ruled against her platform or preferred narrative, were enablers. And here's a text poster. She says, I am tired of their lies. I'm so tired of the harassment. Listen, honey, stop harassing me. And I will never back down. Shame on Debbie Barbier, Mark Moore, and every other South Carolina attorney who uses their law license for evil. Evil.
Oh, come on.
Every time I say evil, I think of Dr. What's his name? Dr. Evil. Dr. Evil.
Dr. Fauci. No, Mandy's exaggerating. That's a lot of hyperbole. And she's got this Joan of Arc complex, or I don't know what. She really is neurotic about that she's the victim of everything. At the bottom, but fundamentally, Mandy wants to position herself as an advocate for the little guy. I applaud that. That'd be great if that's what she really was. But that's not what she's doing. They monetized a narrative. They, I think, deceived the public by claiming to be journalists when they weren't. They were the PR extension of Mark Tinsley's Gooding and Gooding law practice. Nothing wrong with that. But if that's what you are,
based off of Liz's deposition.
right. So there's nothing wrong with that. They can be Mark Tinsley's PR. I think it's probably a good idea that law firms have PR and that have, if they can get people to present themselves to the world as podcasters or
But just
whatever,
say so. Just
say so. That's the only complaint here is it's not that you were his PR team. It's that you lied to us and said you were journalists, and you're not. There was nothing objective about any of your coverage at all. And kicking and screaming, they absolutely refused to acknowledge that that's what they were doing when it would be a simple truth to say, yep, you're right, that's what we did. They're not going to do that. They want to still hold this, they're standing on a rock of jello, that they're holding this imaginary high ground, that they're virtuous and that everybody else is evil. That's silly. I mean, that's just plain stupid. It's not true. And
Why? So why lie? I mean, okay.
because it suits their ego. But the thing is, I like what she pretends to stand for. If that were true, I'd be her biggest fan. And if she wants to just say, look, we stink as journalists, but we're good at creating a tsunami of mob stupidity that can get innocent people convicted, we can do that. We've proven we can do that. Then, yeah, they'd be worth big bucks. And I guess people would hire them because they could sway public opinion. And there's a lot of money in doing that. They could make a lot of money doing that. Just don't pretend you're journalists because there's nothing objective about what you're saying at all. And that martyr complex you have, let it go because it's idiotic. It's just stupid.
It goes back to an article that I wrote on January 22nd about privileged information, confidential information being disseminated to Liz and Mandy. And I go back to an email written by attorney Susie McWilliams. I'll just read the last part of it. It says, we intend to file a motion for an emergency protective order today and stand by our position that your possession, speaking to Mark Tinsley, your possession of these documents is improper and any dissemination, likewise, improper. Who do you think he turned around and sent these to, according to the text messages I'm seeing here in the emails?
He sent them, I know the answer to this, he sent them to Liz Farrell.
He sent them to Liz Farrell. And you know what? Susie McWilliams didn't know that.
I know. But Susie McWilliams, I believe, is the attorney that was representing Sarah Capelli. And in the text exchange, in the 392 case, and I could find it here, but there is the verbatim text where Mark Tinsley is instructing Sarah Capelli on how to fire Susie, which is, again, it's a violation of the rules of professional conduct for an attorney to speak to a represented party without the permission of the counsel, and then to be instructing her to fire her legal counsel is absolutely a violation of the rules of professional conduct. And I'm not making this up. This is in verbatim testimony that was introduced as evidence in March of 2022 in the 392 case. And that was when Bentley Price was he was the judge assigned to the case. He's now not a judge at all. He wasn't renominated by the commission, the Judicial Merit Selection Committee or whatever that's called. But anyway, so Tinsley, what he's doing here is certainly reason to take a second look at the guy. Again, with Tinsley, if he would just be what he pretends to be, which is a plaintiff, a warrior for plaintiffs, that'd be fantastic. But he is, if here's the line about professional conduct, he's obliterated it. He goes right through it. He doesn't seem to care about the rules of professional conduct. He's much more egregious than Eric Bland. And
who, by the way, is under investigation by the South Carolina Supreme Court Office of Disciplinary Counsel for defaming and slandering me a total of 9 times, which they just received the last one, the 9th one. I'm anxiously awaiting for him to open his mouth and his fingers again to make it a 10th if he wants to just keep going with this thing. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Let's jump back. So what happens if a witness refuses a court-ordered deposition? Let's run through that.
Then you go to court and you ask that she be held in contempt of court. And if she's held in contempt of court, then they could issue a warrant for her arrest. And the fact that she's sitting in Colorado while she has property on Hilton Head, she's domiciled in South Carolina with property in South Carolina, and that's not going to fly. So Mandy needs a reality check about what's legal to do. But if she wants to go to jail, she can, but she's not standing up for any principle that you could admire and respect. What's the principle? We refuse to be held accountable when we have pretty much lied to everybody. But what she's doing is she's supporting a fraud on the court being committed by Mark Tinsley. When he says
Is criminal contempt, is that a possibility? She would have civil contempt.
Disobeying the court order is a crime. Yes, yes. So in a civil case, you've been ordered to appear for a deposition, and typically this doesn't go this far. People don't say, I'm going to, I mean, there's an arrogance here. There's a monumental stupidity and arrogance. I would like to think that somebody would get a hold of Mandy Matney and say, lady, knock it off. You have to, there are some things in life we have to do. And one is show up when we've been subpoenaed. So yeah, she definitely could go to jail for this. But hopefully there's some attorney that would say, stop this foolishness, and simply abide by that, show up for the deposition. The other thing is, and I'm stunned about this, is that in a deposition, she can say, her attorney, that it's called defending the deponent. She's the deponent, so she has an attorney that defends the deposition for her. So anyway, she could refuse to answer questions. And then at that point, they would have to take her refusal to answer and go to a judge and say, we want her held in contempt of court. She has to answer this. And then the judge would likely say, yes, Miss Mandy Matney, you have to answer this question. And then supposedly, I guess she would again refuse, and then she would go to jail. And she could sit and rot in jail.
Yeah, I think what Parker's is trying to do, and I have no idea. I don't talk to their attorneys. I don't coordinate with their attorneys. I don't know anything besides what, as an investigative journalist, I find out. But I asked the question why Parker's would focus on alleged coordination with Liz, Mandy, and Mark Tinsley. And you
would say this before.
It's not about proving a crime. It's about testing the credibility, the independence, and the source in the civil case.
It's about this very simple thing. What I read in the very beginning. Tinsley asserts the whole lawsuit is based on his assertion that that these pictures of Mallory's body had never been disseminated by anyone. When Liz Farrell testified that they were disseminated to her from Mark Tinsley, that Mark Tinsley sent her links to those pictures, it makes that assertion a lie. It makes the complaint. The complaint is the reason for suing Greg Parker. It makes the entire lawsuit a lie. It's not an extraneous lie. It's not an addendum. It's at the heart of the whole thing. Tinsley is saying, we are suing you because you and you alone released these pictures of Mallory's dead body, and nobody else did, not law enforcement or anybody else. When the truth is, Mark Tinsley had disseminated them. So, it would be bad enough if you could say, well, Mr. Tinsley, you knew that Bozo the Clown had disseminated them. That would be bad. But instead, the son of a bitch disseminated them himself. And here we go. These are, took me a while to find. These are pages and pages of these text exchanges between Sarah Capelli and Mark Tinsley. Each and every one is a reason to have the guy disbarred. These are actually filed. I had the date wrong. This is a conversation that occurred in January of 2022, but these were filed verbatim in the 392 case on July 13th of 2022. So you want to get Mark Tinsley disbarred, folks, just send this to the Office of Disciplinary Counsel, this alone. But then also send Liz Farrell's deposition, where she says under oath that he sent them to her with no non-disclosure agreement. She also testifies that he showed those pictures to those mock jurors, no non-disclosure agreement. And then just point out what I said in the beginning, page 5, paragraph 12, and let's get Mark Tinsley disbarred. Now, actually, I'm not actually advocating that we do that. I'd like Mark Tinsley to say, here's why I did it. You're right. I was overzealous. I'm a slimy little manipulator. You can't trust a single thing. Here, you can have my law license. I'm over 60. I mean, he's not going to be practicing for that much longer. He could take the high road and say, yeah, I did it. I did it. I can't, well, he can't deny it. It's under oath.
Well,
And then stop this drama.
We talk about Tinsley a lot, and Farrell and Matney, but here's another post from her, and I thought this one was interesting. This was December 20th. It says, this year I learned that when shitty people want you to tone it down, you absolutely must turn it up. Fire, 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 fire. I guess that's what I'm doing because she wants me to tone it down. I'm turning it up. However, she goes on to say, reminder to please send any and all tea and dirt on JP Miller, Lee Gilly, am I pronouncing that right? Mark Moore, Greg Parker, and Weldon Boyd, or good old boys like them, to info@lunasharkmedia.com. Stay pesky and petty. Y'all. There's another y'all from that Kansas girl. What I find interesting about that is that JP Miller case with Jane Doe 1 and Jane Doe 2, Mark Tinsley's involved. Mark Tinsley's involved in the 392 case. Greg Parker, we've talked about. And Weldon Boyd is another one that Mark Tinsley's involved in. Do these people cover anything? I mean, I guess Lee Gilly, but besides Lee Gilly, is there a case that they cover that doesn't involve
Mark Tinsley? I don't know. But the Lee Gilly case is interesting because supposedly this Jennifer, wait, let's see. Lee is charged with murder. He's charged with murdering his pregnant wife.
And they used to live in South Carolina.
Yeah, and he's in Houston, but he's in Houston, Texas. He's represented by an attorney named Dick DeGruin. I couldn't find immediately a connection between that case and Mark Tinsley, but we didn't look very hard. We were looking this morning about that. But I agree with your observation. It does appear that Luna Shark not only focuses a great deal on cases involving Mark Tinsley, but maybe exclusively on cases involving Mark Tinsley. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just they're not journalists. They're PR people.
Well, here's a perfect example right here. This post right here. I don't know if you can see it. She's sticking her tongue out, and says, "This is for my Mark." She says, "This is my Mark Moore face. I hope this goes in a legal. I hope this goes into a legal motion." I guess the question I have to ask is, when will the attacks end?
I don't think they will. She doesn't seem to have any boundaries. She doesn't behave like an intelligent adult. She doesn't behave like a rational adult. What the hell? I don't know.
I've said this about Eric Bland too, when he was defaming and slandering me. He was acting like a third grader on the playground. And I think she's doing the same thing. I think for years, these tactics have been the same. Attack people.
And they work.
Attack men. Okay. Attack institutions. Attack anyone who doesn't fit the approved narrative. But also, very importantly, pretend to protect women. Now, when I say pretend, let me just show you something. This is a post from Matney, who says, y'all, again. I wonder if there's a Southern Kansas accent. I don't know. Y'all, you could make a huge difference in the media space by stop listening to creeps like Galloway. I don't know who that is. And start listening to independent female podcasters. She's talking about you, who actually respect women and call out abusers on their shit. Now, keyword there is respect women. Mandy has always said she's going after the good old boys and she respects women.
No, she doesn't.
Well, here comes the tea again. Here comes the receipts, as the kids say. This is Mandy Matney and Liz Farrell in these little bubbles here.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, and it says, and I feel like she's been a CUNT And Liz says, yeah, definitely has. I think she has a chat bubble gate. I don't know what that means. And then Mandy, yeah, I wonder if she found the light. Liz, what? I swear I blocked this woman. I just unloved her tweet. LOL, I did the same. Yep, it was her. Maybe she found Jesus again. Here's another one where she's attacking another woman named Daniela, called her another C word.
Yeah.
And then they called another woman Marcy, the same word.
Yeah, and then they go after
And then they go after Critical K and calling her the B word.
Okay, so I
want to remind people
know,
that actually respect women.
this just is not good. Right, right. This is just wrong. Critical K is a lovely lady. I don't, you know, I don't know a lot about her. When we did that really long live stream with Karen Madison, the attorney that had been harassed by Luna Shark, by Cup of Justice, she
Well,
called
why do
in
they
to talk
attack
about.
that? Because these women, or any woman for that matter, who goes against their narrative, they go and attack.
Yeah.
But what I can't stand with them or anybody who goes out into the light and was like, I love this person. This person's the greatest. I love these type of people. And then when no one's looking, it's just attack, knife in the back, attack, knife in the back. That
Yeah.
kind of rhymes. Maybe I just got a new rap song.
No,
here.
you don't. No, you don't. Kim. Let it go. Let it go. Yeah, it's not. She. Here's the deal. I think that part of Mandy's success is that she's compelling, and she definitely reaches her audience, whatever age group that is. But we want there to be warriors like this. We want to think that there is such a journalist, and so she's her basic what she wants to pretend she is, who she wants to pretend she is, resonates with people. We wish that were true. It's just not. Unfortunately, everything about Mandy is lovely except for reality, which is she's a delusional, extremely manipulative, oddly, she's so egotistical. She sees herself as the center of the universe. She's just not. It's just that simple.
So
But
the
I don't
fact
know what to
is,
say about this.
the
It's
fact is,
discouraging.
she does
Should we
attack
start
women.
a
And honestly,
Yes, she does.
they're
Absolutely.
she's her little crew. They're the good old boys. I'm going to call them boys. They're the good old boys, the third graders on the playground, who are
Yeah.
attacking and making fun of everybody who doesn't. And listen, I'm sure that me and Greg Parker are going to be the next. And they've attacked you.
Yeah. The thing is, the line forms over there, and I'll survive. I don't have. And I want to apologize right now. I have some cream, a medication on my nose, and I've just smeared it all over my face. But anyway, I don't care. They can attack. I don't care about attacking me, but I do care about principles and just general sort of themes. And I think Mandy and Liz are just an incredible disappointment. And I think that Liz did the right thing and simply appeared at the deposition and was deposed. And nobody would say, yeah, it feels good to be deposed, because yes, they can ask very embarrassing questions. They can ask a whole range of questions. They do. They can and they do. But Mandy's saying, I'm going to go to jail rather than simply tell the truth. See, at least Liz simply told the truth. I think there was probably a lot more she could have said, but I don't think Parker's understood when they deposed Liz Farrell. I don't think they really understood how much Mark Tinsley was colluding with Liz and Mandy and Will Folks to create this phony narrative. So I think Parker's is kind of stunned. But Mandy has the one, take the high road, Mandy. Just take the high road, tell the truth, get deposed, tell the truth. Don't go to jail. This is not worth going to jail for. And they do cavity searches and things like that, and you're not going to like it. So don't do it. Just tell the truth.
Yeah, I mean, she's
Not that
framed
hard.
her stance as a matter of principle.
What
But the
principle is
legal,
this? We're
I
defending a
don't know.
lie.
I mean,
We're going to.
the legal reality is straightforward. Refusal to comply with a lawful deposition exposes her to contempt sanctions. That's it. Fines and incarceration.
what she's defending is the lie in this 392 case. And what she's afraid of, what Tinsley's
But my
afraid
question
of,
always goes back to why defend the lie? Like, just like you said, like, okay, yeah, shit, we did it. You
right.
know, why not just what we did? What are they going to lose?
Their audience would even stick with her. See, they would understand. See, she has a choice right now to actually be what she pretends to be. And so she made some mistakes. So admit them. Apologize. Apologize for who you hurt. You hurt Buster. You hurt Alec. You hurt the memory of Paul and Maggie. You offended justice because we've had this mob mentality that's gotten the wrong people
And I think she's
incarcerated.
hurt Sandy Smith because even though Sandy will never say it publicly, listen, that
What?
article that I put out on Stephen Smith, I don't want to say it solves the Stephen Smith case, but any person with half a brain can read that and go, it wasn't
It
Buster
does.
Murdaugh.
It wasn't Buster Murdaugh, right? Which makes it so offensive. When Alec had been sentenced and they're taking him back to that van, and the mob, the crazy mob, is saying, "Your
Buster's
son's next, Alec." Buster.
Yeah.
And
They
then
loved
you
it.
get, what's that, Dana Kennedy and that other reporter from the New York Post. They literally had a cameraman in the bushes. And it's dark outside, and they're looking through the little shades to take a picture of Buster in his own home to say. And the New York Post did about half a dozen articles implicating Buster in the death of Stephen Smith, which I don't think the New York Post has ever apologized for to this day, and they
Well,
should.
and nor will they ever. But we're looking for an apology. I guess just to come to Jesus. Like, hey, you want everybody to drink from the same cup of justice. Well, here it is. Take a drink. So much for everyone drinking from the same cup of
The
justice.
same
Huh?
cup, yeah.
Cups up.
Yeah,
Cups
no,
up.
crickets is dead silence. I used to say when I had the YouTube channel, I used to say it's really simple. Just stop lying. You know, just follow the
if
10
she truly
commandments.
believes, let's put it this way: if she truly believes in justice, she would do what every witness does: show up, tell the truth, answer the questions the attorneys ask. That's it.
Perfect.
And they have, and I'm sure, again, I'm not working for them. They're not coordinating with me. I'm not getting anything. But I'm sure the questions that they're going to ask her are going to have a lot to do with not only the 392 case and all that, but the origins of it, and backing into Liz Farrell's deposition and asking questions that they already know the answers to because they have Mandy's words from those text messages. And they're just going to wait for her to lie. And then you throw contempt charges on top of that. Or not contempt charges, perjury charges.
It's not worth it. Mandy should take a reality check right now and say, I just need to tell the truth. I've been ordered to appear and tell the truth. I ought to comply with
somebody says she's moving to Brazil. I don't know.
Well, that's stupid.
And she doesn't look Brazilian. I wonder if they say y'all down in Brazil.
I don't know. But Brazilians have a very strong sense of national identity, and I don't think they necessarily would be charmed by her. But
I used to manage South America. Actually, I used to manage the whole Western Hemisphere, and I used to go down to Brazil. And it's a beautiful country, but it's a nasty little country. The fact the guy that I used to go around with would pick me up in his armored vehicle, literally with bulletproof glass that was about yay thick.
Jim, look at this photo of her. You have it on, it's on your website. You just put it up there. When I look at this, she looks like such a sweet little girl. Yeah, that.
Well, that's what she tries to portray. Yeah, that's for sure.
Then just be that. Here's a novel idea, Mandy. Stop being such a neurotic cow and be what you pretend to be. Tell the truth. This isn't a rock worth dying for or dying on. It's not a hill worth dying on.
Yeah.
You made a mistake. You made a couple of mistakes. You made a couple of years of mistakes. Same with Will Folks. Same with all of them. Just tell the truth. How hard would that be? And then write the book about I finally told the truth. And maybe I'd buy that book. I don't know. But why are you acting like this? Stop doing this. There's no principle or moral here you're defending that isn't reprehensible. Stop it.
Yeah.
Just a thought. So this is kind of this is something I don't typically talk about, but I just as an odd coincidence. So I get up at 3 in the last night. Last thing I saw before I went to sleep was that the judge had denied her motion to quash, and so I
Judge
get
Kelly,
up
by
at
the way, who I don't know personally, but I've seen him in other cases. He's a straight shooter, and he goes by the law. From my experience of seeing him, and I just saw him recently in a murder case. I thought he did a good job of doing that, or whatever that's worth. But he's the guy. He took over for Bentley Price, I believe, who got
Yeah.
removed. Correct?
he didn't get renominated by the what's it called, the Judicial Merit Selection Committee, which is a body in the state legislature. South Carolina is one of the only states that their judges are nominated by the legislature, so they're beholden to legislators, and that's the bad part of that is that judges really are just political appointees. But yeah, Bentley Price was a horrible judge. And so this new judge has got to be Mark Tinsley's worst nightmare. And I wouldn't be surprised that there might be judges and members of the judiciary down in South Carolina who say this has nothing to do with whether Alec Murdaugh is guilty or innocent, nothing to do with that at all. But what Mark Tinsley is doing holds the entire profession in such ill repute, they are offended by him doing it. And like I said, I think he is a terrific advocate, but he goes too far. He crosses the line. He obliterates the line that should contain him. And that line is about the rules of professional conduct. He doesn't seem to have any awareness of those boundaries at all. He sort of does.
Like sending the email that Attorney McWilliams told him, do not disseminate, and he sends it to a reporter.
Yeah, but see, Sandy Sin did basically the same thing. You understand that she disseminated in fact, Mark Tinsley ran over to her office on Friday afternoon to get these documents, and Parker spent at least a year fighting to get those documents back. But
all they had to do was contact Liz.
Yeah,
she had them.
Yeah, that's really not. They should never have been in his possession. Not only were they in his possession, he had dog-eared them. He had gone through, there were thousands of them. He had gone through, this one's important, this one's not. And you could just read, the outrage that Parker's attorneys felt when they're describing he was not supposed to be in possession of them. And once in possession, he's not supposed to be reading them. Well, apparently he wasn't just reading them, he was disseminating them, which he was specifically not supposed to do, pending some resolution of whether he had the right to have them. So Tinsley does whatever he feels like. Then he goes a little bit further and brags about it. Then he goes a whole lot further and goes on air bragging about his great prowess. Then he's the guy that's basically running the prosecution of Alec Murdaugh. So not a good,
Yeah.
It's a nightmare.
Or the jury.
This is one thing. This is my prediction, though. This case, the 392 case, will be the case that unravels Tinsley, Fitznews, Liz Farrell, Mandy Matney, and that whole conspiracy, that collusion.
Alleged collusion.
It'll just tear it all down. Well, I don't think it's alleged anymore now that we have all those text messages. It was alleged before we had Callie Lyons, those texts. Now it's pretty clear.
It's wide open.
That there was pretty much, yeah. But anyway, but they have a right to a defense. I'm not saying, everybody has a right to defend themselves. And so Mandy has a right to defend herself. She doesn't have a right to say, I'm too special to be deposed. I'm so special, I don't have to abide by a court order.
It was, y'all, I'm too special.
Okay, yeah. But it's sad because how did this sweet little face, how did she go from being just kind of looks like an adorable child to this obnoxious woman that is so delusional she thinks she can ignore a court order? And then
I don't know.
what I wonder is, does she think that this mob of insanity, this mob of fans she has, are going to somehow make a difference? That they're going to appeal to the judge, or they're going to rise up and the judge is going to say, oh, wait, all these people now hate me. So I am going to grant Mandy, I'm going to reverse myself. I mean, what does she think is the consequence of producing this kind of content to her audience? I think it makes her look stupid and delusional on top of everything else. It's got to be an embarrassment. At this point, Eric Bland has to be turning to her and saying, Mandy, you're delusional. Knock it off. You've
I don't
been
think anybody's
subpoenaed.
going to say that to her. I checked. Bland hasn't said anything, so I guess she's going to get a date to be deposed, and I
Deposed.
guess
I think it's in April.
she's not going to show up, and they'll issue a.
I hope somebody convinces her that that's a stupid thing to do.
She says she's
That's
going to
really
jail.
stupid.
Hampton County
Why
Jail, I
would you
hear,
do
is
that?
quite luxurious.
What principle is she defending? What she does is she's like
The
a
good
little
old boys.
petulant
The good
child.
old boys.
Wah,
To
wah,
protect, to
wah.
protect the,
But this is what she's doing. She's going, wah, 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 wah. I want it my way. I want it my way. It's not going to be my way. I'm going to hold my breath until I turn blue.
That's a good.
And I'm not going to go to jail. Who cares? Go to jail, Mandy. Go rot in jail. What do you think we care?
That's a good cartoon voice you just did there.
I tried. The other thing is, she doesn't get out of jail until she agrees to testify. Maybe she doesn't get that, by the way. Going to jail doesn't mean she doesn't have to testify. She still is going to have to testify. She's just going to have gone through a body cavity search and, slept in, been in jail for however long until she finally gets it through that delusional head of hers that she has to abide by the laws of this
Yeah,
country.
if she wants to sit in there for 10 years, she'll be in there for 10 years.
She'll still have to testify when she gets out. It's just stupid. There's no upside to what she's doing.
We have anything else in this case? That was kind of the big thing. I was like, oh my God, she wants to go to jail. Well, let's talk about it.
I think there's a lot here. Eric Bland will
we could wrap
never
this up.
pass up.
We could wrap this up in an hour.
Yes, we could. Eric Bland will never pass up a microphone. I don't think Mark Tinsley passes up a microphone. He
says he doesn't, but all you got to do is type in Mark Tinsley at YouTube and.
Well, wait. Okay. The other thing is,
guys on every podcast there is.
Tinsley doesn't have to say anything because he has Cup of Justice saying it for him. So that's his PR wing. But the ones that never talk in public are Greg Parker and any of his legal team. And I admire that. I think that's always the right strategy. But I'd be curious. I'd love to do an interview with Deborah Barbier or Mike Moore, both of them, and Mr. Parker. But he got some bad advice, and he sat for that interview with Valerie Barling, and that was just a hatchet job. And he should have walked out. I think Deborah Barbier was there, and he should have said these questions. You've got a clear bias here, and I suddenly remembered I have a meeting I have to attend to. Thank you for your time. I'm out of here. I don't know why he sat for that because it didn't do him any good. But I would love to interview him. But maybe it's better to wait till this is over. I'm curious about the decision he's clearly made to follow this through, because I think he could have backed away. He could have moved for a motion to dismiss a long time ago. He certainly can move for a motion to dismiss now. This case is a fraud on the court. And
I don't think he's going to. Who's going to dismiss it? Who do you say would?
I think he could move to him dismissed. But the other thing, by the way,
I don't think he wants to.
I don't either. I think he wants to. He's got all the money in the world, and he's going to see this through.
Drain the swamp.
They brought the fight to him, and he's not giving up. But we've talked about this before. In
the words of John Rambo, they drew first blood.
Yes, exactly. So, but Max Furtati and Henry Rosado they've sort of been asleep through this. I think they did make a motion to be dismissed from the case. I know Vicky Ward made a motion to be dismissed from the case. Those motions were denied.
Max
But
Furtado. I think you just
it's
like saying the words Max Furtado.
it's a goofy name. No, it's a wonderful name. I didn't say that. Didn't say that.
Wonderful name.
Delete that. Delete that. The character. I mean, these guys are pretty colorful characters, I have to say. But you don't hear a lot from them, and you don't hear anything about Blake Greco and Jason DeCruz, who are attorneys for Parker's Corporation and Mr. Parker individually. They were sued too. But it seems to me at some point they're going to rear up and say, we've had enough of this, and hit Mr. Tinsley over the head with a hammer. That to me is a likely possibility. Maybe what Parker's is waiting for is a judgment in his favor in this case that exceeds the judgment or the settlement that Mark got for Renee Beach in the other case. Maybe Mr. Parker feels that there's some poetic justice in that because...
Or swamp justice.
Yes.
As the song plays in, this is like the Johnny Carson music, you know, when people were talking too long and he just starts the music and the band and everything. We got swamp justice. I think we covered it all. Mandy wants to go to jail. And Elaine Greenwood from Super Woke News is advising her not to tell the truth. Elaine thinks that might be hard for her to do. And what else did you say? Mark Tinsley resign? Not resign. Retire?
Yeah, take the high road. Retire. Abandon your license to practice law. Hope that you don't get sued by a whole bunch of people.
What about Eric Bland?
That guy's an idiot. I don't know what to say about him. He should stop practicing law. But he could be a media personality. He's like the bobblehead. I think he's funny. I think just shouldn't be an attorney. But he can be a private citizen who says stupid things. Why not? I mean, there's no, I don't have any objection to him doing that. But don't pretend to be this virtuous. See, he relies on the credibility of his profession that he is literally defecating all over. And same with Mark Tinsley. They're defecating over the legal profession. We don't need that. We have enough problems with the legal profession and trusting them as it is.
We're going to leave it at that. People defecating all over the legal system.
Profession.
97.7 FM WVFF on Veterans for Freedom Radio on Swamp Justice Radio with Elaine Greenwood at the Super Woke News. Where are you over on X? Terrorizing people over on X?
Once in a while. My thing on X right now is... you liked this one that about OpenAI, ChatGPT, and censorship. That's an important issue, but I'm not talking about it now. So
yeah, that's another. You can check me out at crimeandcask.com. I'm on YouTube, TikTok. By the way, TikTok, I have more followers than Mandy, Liz, Luna Shark, and Eric Bland combined. 116,000. Just rolled that over. 20-some thousand on Instagram. It's a couple 100,000. Check it out. We're getting 5,000 hits a day. That's almost 2 million a year, and it's growing. And it's just me and the illustrious Elaine Greenwood. Crime and Cask out, everybody. We'll see what Hampton County Jail is serving for dinner tonight. We'll let Mandy know. All right, let's do it. Bye.